Sebastian, stop this madness. The Chantry cannot condone revenge, Sebastian.
It is my right, my duty, to show these assassins there is nowhere in the Free Marches to hide.
This is murder.
No. What happened to my family was murder.
Your family can rest now. Their killers are gone.
Excuse me, who are... My post to the Chanter's Board? Did Her Grace let that stay? I thought for sure no one even read, but you say you've killed them. You have my eternal gratitude, Sirrah. It is comforting to think my parents might now rest easily in their graves.
Who are you exactly?
I am Sebastian Vale, Prince of Starkhaven. Her Grace might prefer I introduce myself as a brother in the Chantry, but I could not stay after what happened to my family.
Why didn't your family's enemies hunt you down as well?
That's why I took the offensive. Thanks to you, those Flint Company assassins are no longer a danger. I'm the last of my line. Unless I survive, my family will have no justice.
Who sent these mercenaries?
My family has ruled Starkhaven for 6 generations. We have enemies, but none who would identify themselves openly. A distant cousin of mine is claiming rulership now, but he is a bit simple. He can be no more than a pawn in this plot.
Surely you have a guess as to who was behind it.
My parents were always prudent in how they handled our nobles. They did not allow rivalries or resentments to flourish. The attack must have come from outside. Kirkwall is our largest trading partner. I came back here to find support for my claim, and perhaps for a clue as to who is behind this foul deed.
Surely you have a guess as to who was behind it.
My parents were always prudent in how they handled our nobles. They did not allow rivalries or resentments to flourish. The attack must have come from outside. Kirkwall is our largest trading partner. I came back here to find support for my claim, and perhaps for a clue as to who is behind this foul deed.
I hope their deaths bring you peace.
Thank you. More than I can say. I truly did not expect anyone but me to take up this cause. Consider this in advance. When I have secured my lands again, you will be paid royally. Now, if you'll excuse me, I must meet with the Viscount and petition him for aid to a fellow city. I thought it would end here. Young Master Hawke destroyed Flint Company, none remain. Yet, now that I know who sent them, it's harder to see their deaths as justice.
Death is never justice.
Hawke? We were just talking about you.
Saying good things, I hope.
Hawke asked diplomatically.
Many people in Kirkwall have good things to say about you.
Carry on. I love to eavesdrop.
Hawke said sarcastically.
I'd rather talk directly, if you don't mind.
Is the Flint Company bothering you again?
Hawke asked aggressively.
You know I hate it when you do that.
Hawke muttered in an angry aside to the dwarf.
If, you two have a moment, I've learned who hired Flint Company. The Harrimans, a noble family of Kirkwall. They were my parents' allies. It's hard to believe they betrayed us like this.
Did Lord Harriman die violently about 3 years ago?
I won't ask how you know that.
I had heard he was murdered.
Tell me about this family.
Lord Harriman used to be a good man, but he became rather strange in his dotage. He died some years back. His daughter took over the family, Lady Johanne Harriman. They say she's become quite reclusive of late.
Any idea why they turned on you?
Money? Power? It's hard to say. Lady Harriman was always jealous of my family for being royalty when hers were mere nobility. But I can't imagine that pushing her into outright murder.
They should pay for their crimes.
Unless I understand why they did this, any revenge I take will be hollow.
Is there any peaceful way to resolve this?
If you treat the Harrimans like those mercenaries, you could start a war. Go carefully, Sebastian.
I must speak with Lady Harriman and find out what drove her to this madness. But I am the last of my line. I should not go alone and make myself a target.
Why is everybody looking at me?
I don't know why Choir Boy here didn't yell Hawk to the rescue. That's clearly what he was going for.
If this allows Sebastian to make peace, it is worth doing. You've taken on lesser causes.
Please. I have no one else to turn to. If you like, I can travel with you until you confront Lady Harriman. Otherwise, you can always find me here in the Chantry.
Is there any peaceful way to resolve this?
If you treat the Harrimans like those mercenaries, you could start a war. Go carefully, Sebastian.
I must speak with Lady Harriman and find out what drove her to this madness. But I am the last of my line. I should not go alone and make myself a target.
If I'm standing beside you, that should make her think twice.
Again, your interest in my plight humbles me. If you like, I can travel with you until you confront Lady Harriman. Otherwise, you can always find me here in the Chantry.
Fine, but don't think you're my top priority.
Thank you, Hawk. Having you by my side will stay anyone's hand.
More! You lazy son of a bitch! What's taking so long?
Flora?
Why does no one in this house care what I want? More wine, or I swear I will drown you in the dregs.
That sounds familiar. I don't envy anyone in this household tomorrow morning.
She doesn't even see us. This is no normal wine.
More logs. It must be molten. You, more coins. I want every scrap of gold in this house.
Please, Monsieur!
There's nothing to fear. You'll be beautiful. Pour it over her.
Don't! You'll kill her! He can't hear me.
Perhaps I should be the one.
We must end this madness.
Oh, lower. Lower.
I beg your pardon, Hawk. I did not mean to expose you to such things.
No apologies necessary.
What are they even doing? The Thalanast!
No, the feather. Use the feather. Where have you been all my life? Today, I am more than a man. Come, felicitate me.
That's a great line. I should use that. Oh, I could get it embroidered on my blouse.
He has no idea we're here. I've known Ruxton Harriman my whole life. He's a complete prude.
That's my kind of prude.
Midlife crisis?
Where's your brother? Let's ask him to join us.
Turn back. There is nothing here for you.
Odd. When we watched you being a drunken arse, you ignored us completely.
You shall not enter.
Starkhaven will not submit. I put that idiot Goran Vale into the prince's seat, but the other families won't heed him. I must marry him to Flora and solidify our hold. But I need more power.
I've given you much. Your desires run deep. You've already traded your husband and your children. What more can you offer?
At the Blooming Rose, 50 silvers standard for a whore.
You'll hardly find my services standard.
Who is this? Who are you? How did you get here? Sebastian!
You were my mother's friend. How could you murder her?
Such an ugly word. I prefer remove the only obstacle between her and her dreams.
This was your idea.
I could create such desires if I wished. But it's far easier to nurture those that already exist. The desire for power is easy to find. You and your friend both possess it, do you not? You both wish to rise.
Not if it meant selling out my family.
It would not be the first time. I feel the touch of one of my brethren on you already. How loyal were your friends to you? Everyone has a price. Everyone wants something.
Do not listen to her.
Oh, such a pious soul, masking so much ambition. Are you so different from my lady? You yearn for the same lands, the same power.
I am the rightful heir. She is a usurper and murderer.
You swore to put aside worldly goods and ambitions, but they couldn't stop you from wanting them.
You and Lady Harriman are fighting for the same thing, aren't you?
Regaining my birthright is hardly the same as stealing it from another.
But you want it. You had resigned yourself to letting your brother rule. Yet now, that seat glitters before you. You've always wanted it. You needn't deny it any longer. All you have to do is kill anyone in your way.
You'll be a good ruler. It doesn't matter what you do to get there.
I'm not acting from ambition. I only want what's best for my people.
For the people who'll adore you. All those smiles they used to save for your brother. Now you'll be the shining prince.
Are you offering a deal?
Are you bloody daft? Just make sure whatever it is doesn't disappear this time. Bloody demons with their promises and their stupid imaginary boats.
You shouldn't deal with her, Hawk. Look what she's done here. She'll turn on you too.
A deal? With you? What have you to trade other than ambition too large for your grasp? Bring me the loyalty of 2 cities. Then perhaps you will be worthy of notice.
Sebastian, I am so sorry is such an inadequate word. When I think what Mother made us do, what those creatures made us do.
We were friends, Flora.
It was like a cloud came down on me. All I could feel or think was what the demon allowed.
Did your mother order the attack on Sebastian's family?
She did. You know Mother, Sebastian. She was always jealous of your parents. The demon twisted that until it was all she could think of. She was determined to seize Starkhaven for herself.
Was your mother a mage? How did she find this demon?
We've never had magic in our line. Perhaps that made Mother too confident. She thought she could deal with the demon and not fall prey to it.
Right. It is demons who should be feared, not mages.
Those ruins there were unearthed when we expanded the house. Mother found the demon inside. I think she had signed her bargain before we even knew.
Don't blame your mother. The Desire Demon made this happen.
I doubt many people will be so forgiving.
So you get all the debauchery and none of the blame?
Do not suggest I did this by choice.
It's a demon of desire, Flora, not coercion. It can't tempt you with anything you truly don't want.
They're all dead. Your mother, too.
My mother has not existed for some time. What died today was only a puppet of the demon. If it takes every last coin my family owns, I will make reparations to everyone we've wronged. Starting with you, Sebastian. We weren't the only ones vying for Starkhaven. If you face more opposition, you have my support.
It will not make up for what happened.
No, that's true.
I'll tell you when I need you. I had hoped prayer might cleanse me of the Desire Demon's touch, but I still hear her voice so clearly. I feel like I've bathed in filth that will never come off.
You acted honorably. Why are you ashamed?
The demon didn't lie. I used to be bitterly jealous of my brother. I wanted to be prince. Now everything he had is mine. And he lies in ashes. I keep asking myself, do I want this because it's right? Or simply to have what I never thought I could?
The Harrimans won't stand against you. Will you ride back to Starkhaven now?
I don't know. Flora said others are still vying for the title. I should find out who before I charge in blindly. In truth, I can't feel as righteous as I did before.
Aren't you your parents' heir?
I'm the youngest son of 3. My parents were rather traditional. They wanted the heir and the spare, and I was left in the cold. They put me in the Chantry to prevent my competing with my brothers.
You seem very dedicated to the Chantry. You were put there against your will.
At first. But it was the best thing that could have happened. I was a wild boy, a shame to my family. The Chantry made me a man. It's odd. When I wanted to rule, I would have been terrible at it. Now that I might be decent, I don't know if it's the right thing to do.
It's the wisdom not to want power that lets you use it wisely.
You didn't feel what that demon stirred in me. It cannot be right to lead any army to Starkhaven with such doubt in my heart. I owe you more than I can say, Hawk. I will offer my service to you here before I move on.
If you want to help me, do it because we're friends. There's no debt between us.
You have a good soul, Hawk. It was truly the Maker who led you to me.
Killing a few hundred more bandits ought to help you make up your mind.
You do have a unique way of working out your inner struggles, Hawk. Enough of this. I will make no decision today.
I can think of a few services for you to perform.
What? Why are you smiling like... Oh. Oh my. That's not what I meant. I think I need to pray. A lot.
Don't let the demon make you doubt yourself.
In trying to retake Starkhaven, I have already brought death to so many. Could I ever do enough good as Prince to justify that?
Real princes don't worry about who they step on their way to the top.
I know you've done great things in Kirkwall, Hawk. I imagine your methods haven't always been scrupulous. But you clearly do more good than harm. I just don't know if I can follow that road.
You swore an oath to serve the Chantry. It's not right to turn your back.
Andraste herself said the highest grace is to honor our parents. Our first loyalty is to our roots. It is not so simple a decision. I'm giving it all up. I made a vow to the Chantry, and it was wrong to turn my back.
Sebastian, listen to yourself. You're as impulsive now as the day you turned away from us. Do you think the Maker wants another rashly spoken vow that you'll abandon when the next passion takes you?
I will not...
This is your life, child. Don't spend it being blown about like a weather vane. But here's Hawk. Maybe you can talk some sense into him.
Is the Grand Cleric upset with you?
She thinks I'm fickle, but I mean it. It was wrong for me to break my oath to the Chantry. I've turned against the Maker. And for what?
I don't think sense is really my strong suit.
How long has she spent telling me to return to the Chantry, and now that I want to, she won't take me?
And here's Hawk. Come to goad you into further heroics, no doubt?
I don't have to goad anyone. They follow me for my natural charm. Have you done something dumb again?
No. I'm finally doing something smart. Why would I want to rule Starkhaven and deal with jackals like Lady Harriman for the rest of my life?
Do you see yourself as a prince or a priest?
That's exactly the question I've been praying for guidance about. When I think of going to Starkhaven, calling on allies like Flora Harriman and all the corrupt, scheming nobles, my throat swells shut in horror. When I think about staying, I'm at peace.
If you give it up, what then?
I suppose I must convince Elthina my commitment is sincere. Then I will remain here, to represent the Maker's interests as she thinks best.
You should ask what's best for your people, not just for you.
I do not have hubris enough to imagine it matters to the common people who rules them. Kirkwall does well enough with no one in the Viscount's seat. Someone will take the reins. The fields will be planted, the crops gathered. No one will notice that a Vale lives and isn't there, and I can devote my life to the Maker's will on Thedas.
You're wise to stay here. No one trusts a man who breaks his oath.
I cannot return to Starkhaven and subject my people to war without a clear sign that it's the Maker's will.
Don't give up now. You defeated the Desire Demons. All of Kirkwall benefited.
Of everything we've done, I'll never regret that. But I don't know. I've been praying for guidance and had nothing.
Maybe you're right. Princes have to do a lot of underhanded things. You might not be so good at that.
I thought you would try to talk me out of this, Hawk. Thank you for understanding.
Nobody tells a prince what to do. Or who to do it with.
Hawk, you... Don't think I'm not tempted, but I can't. I knelt and swore before the Maker that I would take no bride but Andraste.
I'm just talking about two people. One night and forgetting all your troubles.
If I broke my vows to be with you, I wouldn't be worthy of you. I already have enough sins to atone for.
I think this is yours.
My grandfather's bow, but where did you get it?
One of the Flint Company men did some looting. I figured I'd return the favor.
Thank you. It's hard to mourn the loss of a thing while my family lies dead. But I did think of it.
Were you and your grandfather close?
He was a man of the world, Prince of Starkhaven. But he had the most unshakable faith in the Maker. When my parents threatened to pledge me to the Chantry, he told me he'd gladly trade his title for a life of contemplation. The Maker ordained a place for each of us, I remember him saying. We have only to serve.
What's the story behind that bow?
As the youngest son, it was my place to lead Starkhaven's militia. But I never had a talent for swordplay. Too much getting hit. My grandfather said the bow is the wise man's weapon. You can defend your city without opening its gates. Grandfather said the day I could pull the string on his bow, it would be mine.
Then why didn't you have it with you?
I was 13 when my grandfather made me that promise. I would rise at dawn to practice my shots until I could hit the eye slit of a helmet from the top of the ramparts. But my parents pledged me to the Chantry before I could show him.
I'm sorry I never got a chance to meet them, to save them.
I know. You're a true friend, Hawk. You brought me this to remember and honor them. But if I could bring back our lowest servant by snapping it in half, I'd do it without regrets.
Think of them with every arrow you fire to retake your land.
Yes, this will be a fitting weapon to carry against the usurpers. Thank you for thinking of me, Hawk.
You can't shoot your family at a charging bandit and stop him dead between the eyes.
Do you hold nothing sacred, Hawk? Still, I'll stop dwelling on what can't be fixed and appreciate this gift you've found for me. I look forward to testing it. Do you never intend to give a public answer, Your Grace?
What have I been asked?
About the mages. You could calm this fire if you stepped forward. Who is this?
Surely you recognize the champion? Or were you too long from Kirkwall to witness the Canary attack?
My apologies, champion. I am Sebastian Vale, formerly of Starkhaven, more recently a brother in the Chantry under her grace.
That's a lot of armor for a mere brother.
I used to be Prince of Starkhaven. I've seen my share of battles. I have no interest in joining the Templars, though. I prefer to serve the Maker in both peace and war. Not only if there is someone to fight.
What brings you here?
My family was murdered. I only survived because I had taken vows here in Kirkwall.
The Maker meant you for a different life, Sebastian.
I just wonder sometimes what would have happened if I had returned.
The Chantry's teachings are clear. Those who turn against them would not listen more to me than to Andraste.
Mage this, Templar that. Is there anywhere in Kirkwall people don't talk about this?
No, and I've looked, believe me. Even the rats in Darktown are following this mess.
The last time mages rebelled against the Chantry, they ended up ruling Tevinter. Should we just ignore them?
Well, if it's not too much trouble.
Then you do favor the Templars, Your Grace.
I favor peace, which is not the goal of either side, I'm afraid.
Orsino and the Knight Commander will tear Kirkwall apart.
They will try. I did not expect things to deteriorate so fast. I thought after the Canary, no one would wish for more violence. It has drawn more attention than I would like. Sebastian, if I can ask...
Anything, Your Grace.
And the champion, too, if you will?
I am your humble servant.
You honor me.
I can't imagine any way this will go wrong.
What would you have of us?
The Divine is concerned about the situation here. She does not want to see the Free Marches become another Imperium. She has sent an agent to assess the danger. Meet with her, please. Tell her drastic measures won't be required.
I don't want to see the Divine's armies march against Kirkwall.
Could we keep the Exalted marching to a minimum? I keep all my stuff in Kirkwall.
Wouldn't this end more quickly if the Divine got involved?
Has Kirkwall not suffered enough? Should it be declared anathema and an enemy of the Chantry? Imagine Hightown streets, filled not just with Meredith's Templars, but all the forces the Divine can command.
Surely the Divine wouldn't treat the whole city as enemies.
She is concerned. It is never wise to draw the concern of the powerful.
She is the voice of Andraste. She cannot turn the might of the Chantry against the innocent due to proximity.
Were no innocents harmed in the Exalted marches? She will do her best, Sebastian. But she must act first to protect the faith.
What can you tell me about this servant of the Divine?
I was not told her real name. Only to call her Sister Nightingale. She is said to be the Divine's left hand, sent to do work that might blacken the Divine's name.
What argument would convince her?
The Divine has heard my protests already. I must trust your own powers of persuasion now.
This cannot wait.
Thank you. We cannot allow this ridiculous mage rebellion to turn into holy war.
The agent, Sister Nightingale, will be waiting in the Viscount's throne room tonight. She wishes to remain unseen. The room has been sealed since the Canary incident. It may be difficult to get in without attracting attention.
The mages here must be taught a lesson. I won't stand in the way.
No one else's words bear your weight, champion. If you do not do this, we will have war.
Sister Nightingale says you must leave Kirkwall.
What?
You were right. The Divine will be taking action against Kirkwall, though the sister didn't say what. You must take the holy relics from the Chantry and leave for safety.
Sebastian, I'm surprised at you. Andraste would not thank me for saving a few dusty finger bones and my own skin at the cost of people's lives.
You keep dead people here.
The Kirkwall Chantry has guarded the remains of the martyr Devrina for 800 years. They must be protected.
When I became Grand Cleric, I took a vow to the people of Kirkwall and the Free Marches. I will not leave my flock.
Would you let yourself die?
There is no greater devotion than to lay one's life at the Maker's feet. There is no better death than to take the blow for another.
Sister Nightingale took a great risk to warn you. Don't be rash.
Please, Your Grace. Sister Nightingale thinks there will be war.
Then, I must make peace. Settle yourself, Sebastian. I'm in no personal danger. I am Grand Cleric. Who would dare attack me?
If you will not shield yourself, then I will be your shield. You will come through this safely by the Maker's name. I swear it. If Althena won't leave Kirkwall, neither will I. I can't abandon her when the Divine's own agent warned her away.
How much damage could a few dozen angry mages do, anyway?
That's the problem, isn't it? Far more than I ever could.
What about your people?
They can wait. Starkhaven hardly benefits if Kirkwall falls.
The Grand Cleric is lucky to have your loyalty.
She'd be luckier were I willing to hit her over the head and carry her away. This isn't her battle. But if these Maleficarum rebel against the Knight Commander, Elthina will put herself between them and be torn apart. I must try to make her see reason. This cannot end well.
And I thought maybe I was the one you wanted to protect.
You are quite capable of fending off a battalion of mages on your own, Hawke. Hawke should do it. Kirkwall needs a Viscount.
Have you asked him? It would be Hawke's decision. I hardly think someone with Hawke's proclivities would make a good ruler.
I watched my parents in Starkhaven. When times are good, the city rules itself. Years could pass and no one would notice who's prince. But when there's famine, when there's war, people look to their leaders. Who does Kirkwall have beyond Hawke?
This is probably a conversation for the two of you to have.
You want me to be Viscount?
Andraste said the Maker is king in the heavens, but it is the kings of Thedas who must recreate his worldly glory. I keep thinking about that. Who better serves the Maker? A brother of the faith, or a prince who can sway a whole city?
The best way to serve the Maker is in his chantry.
Starkhaven needs me, but I will not leave Elthina to the mercy of those apostates. We must put down their rebellion and solidify the chantry's hold. Then I can return to Starkhaven with a clean conscience.
You can't leave until the Grand Cleric is out of danger.
And the only way to ensure that is if every mage in Kirkwall is locked safely in the Circle. Or dead. I might have questioned that once, but I've learned a lot from you, Hawke. If you act with a true heart, in a noble cause, it doesn't matter what it takes to succeed.
If the mages are fool enough to act openly, we will crush them.
I might have questioned that once, but I've learned a lot from you, Hawke.
Focus on Starkhaven. Your enemies are there, not here.
I know you have sympathy for the rebels, but surely you must see they can't win. Frankly, both sides are despicable. I wouldn't leave Her Grace at the mercy of either. But it will be over soon, one way or the other. You should accept the Viscount's seat, Hawke. You're the only one worthy of it.
Alone? Or will you bring someone with you?
The Prince of Starkhaven and the Viscountess of Kirkwall? It would be the strongest alliance the Free Marches has ever seen. But let us cross that bridge once we're both firmly established. I will offer you no less than a prince. Don't offer what you've already given elsewhere. I know you and Anders are... It's not my place to question, but please, be careful. He's a dangerous man, and selfish. Whatever he promised, don't think he'll ever put you above his own needs. I have no desire to impose myself between you and Merrill.
A prince can bring the word of Andraste to everyone under his rule.
Elthina is risking her life by not deserting her flock. Could I do the same? It's been 15 years since I lived in Starkhaven. The people there are only a memory to me. Kirkwall, the Chantry, that's real. That's where I belong.
You're a man of faith, Sebastian. You would have hated politics.
You're probably right. Bootlicking nobles and bickering farmers, I'd have sent the whole lot to do penance.
For the rest of your life, you'll wonder what would have happened if you'd gone back.
Perhaps. But I'd rather that than wonder what a bunch of lunatic mages did to Her Grace. I do appreciate you hearing me out.
Great. Now that's out of the way, let's get a drink.
Sorry to burden you with my doubts, but I do appreciate you hearing me out. You've been a good friend, Hawke. I will stay, as much for you as for Her Grace.
Starkhaven's loss.
I can't say you didn't factor into my decision. But if I'm to stay in the Chantry, you mean the world to me, Hawke. I couldn't have gotten through this time without you. Join me in the Chantry. Pledge yourself to the Maker. We can serve him together, with a chaste marriage in his eyes.
I would gladly swear my vows beside you.
I'll speak to Her Grace about accepting you as a sister in faith. She'll recognize the purity of our love. I promise you, nothing will come between us.
That's a little sudden.
I'm sorry. Perhaps I got carried away. The Chantry life is not for everyone. Forget I said anything. I'll always treasure your friendship, Hawke. But I cannot forswear myself again. Even for you.